It was only after having taken down these details that Romanet became aware of the presence of Gustav. "What a night," said Gustav. "We were very frightened." The full significance of this remark took time to hit the policeman. Why should Gustav have been frightened? Had he seen something of a nocturnal happenings? Was he somehow involved in the incident? Romanet was shocked when Gustav informed him that there was yet another body on the bank of the river. As Romanet went down the stony path, he noticed various objects strewn along the way and wondered if robbery had been the motive of the crime. So here I have to add a note to somebody scattered a few things here and there to perhaps take the investigator's mind off the subject. Moving on back, he then came across the body of a young girl. So the first thing he saw was a young girl, about 10 years old, who was lying on her back, her arms and legs spread-eagled in the form of a cross. She had sustained the most appalling injuries to her head, which had been smashed by some kind of blunt instrument. She too had been dead for some time. Now this instrument must have been available in the car with the doctor, with the nutritionalist, something that he had on him, perhaps. Among the objects Romanet found was search of the area were another notebook bearing the name of Jack Cecil Drummond, several cartridge cases, it could have been a cartridge case, and one live bullet, all American carbine ammunition. Gustav was asked for a preliminary statement, but said only that he had seen the English family at about 8:30 the previous evening, and then again at 11:30, when they had driven into the farm courtyard. He had heard several shots at about 1 a.m., but had not got up to investigate, assuming them to come from poachers' guns, as I suspected. Add a personal note. At 8:30, Police Doctor Dragon arrived and was busy examining the bodies when he noticed an old man strolling towards him, wearing dark velvet trousers, a striped shirt, and an old broad-brimmed hat. So this man who was dressed like that obviously wanted to be noticed. This was Gaston Dominici, who told him that he had just heard the tragedy after taking his goats up to the hills. But Gaston seemed unperturbed by the murders, leaning against the mulberry tree and smoking a pipe. So he was calm. The local police then sent for Superintendent Edmund Sabine, a young officer who had a good record of success. He had led 14 murder inquiries. He's 14 already done, and he's only a young man. So there's a lot of murders around here, and had solved every one of them. Now this man has solved every one of the murders. He arrived at midday, having spent the intervening hours trying to find experienced officers to assist him. So he's looking around, saying, "Is anyone there more clever than me?" By which time important clues had been destroyed by the number of sightseers who had been trampling the area. But he was able to confirm that the cartridges had been fired from an American carbine, and discovered a chip of wood from the butt under the dead child's head, suggesting that she had been battered with it. So they found the piece of wood, so that was the blunt instrument. Sabine was puzzled by an odd statement from Gustav, to the effect that the farmer may have left his fingerprints on the car door when helping the policeman to open it. The policeman later denied such an incident. Finally, the gun itself was found under the carcass of a sheep in the river. So it was thrown into the carcass of a sheep. So the person wanted to make the other person think that it had something to do with the sheep, and something to do with the river, and the gun is in the river, and it's something to do with the sheep. Anyways, it was indeed a carbine from a rock-ola factory in Chicago. Now this thing came from Chicago. Where's Chicago, and where's south of France, or where's this France place? Anyway, it was in extremely poor condition, so this nutritionalist must have had contacts there, back and forth, you know what I mean, like sending items over there and items back, probably by mail, air mail type. It was extremely poor condition, parts of it being held together by means of an aluminium ring more commonly used to fix identity tags on motorcycles. The fact that the gun saw some sort of tag with motorcycles, fast-moving transport, The fact that the gun was in such bad condition convinced Sabil that the murderer was a native of the area. If a person had come into the area with the specific aim of murdering someone, he would have been expected to have at least carried a reasonable firearm. Sabil was also convinced that now they had a murder weapon. The murderer would soon be caught. A gun like that was fairly easy to identify, and he felt sure that someone would soon recognize it. As Sabil said, the gun will speak. This old gun, possibly Sabil is thinking it's a French gun from around the area that the farmers keep or somebody keeps just for occasions. So this gun is very important, obviously. Okay, a number of curious things had led Sabil to conclude that one of the Drummonds was guilty. Gaston's behavior had been extremely suspicious. He had been walking up the path with Sabil after having searched the area where the little girl had fallen, and as they approached the mulberry tree, Gaston had pointed to it with his stick, and obviously without thinking said, there, that's where the woman fell. She didn't suffer. Then, having noticed the policeman's surprise, he carried on, apparently unbothered with the words, I say that, but I'm only supposing. Another incident, for which no reasonable explanation had been given, took place when Officer Girolami, another member of the investigation team, found a newly washed pair of trousers still dripping on a washing line at Grand Terry. Both Gaston and Gustave denied either owning or washing them. That's all for this episode. I will continue with it a bit later.